So you've decided that you are ready, willing, and able to have your executive offsite. And you're wondering, what are the core elements to making this thing really work so that it's a great investment of time, money, and energy? I want to make the most out of it. What's the recipe for success for a successful offsite? In this video, we're going to take a look at the key elements or the recipe for successful executive team offsite and the key ingredients that we find helpful to really unlocking the most that you can from your investment of time and energy away. So, most people think when it comes to executive offsites, all right, there's a playbook out there. Let me pull out my book on building highly effective teams. And okay, I see that we're going to sit down, we're going to anchor into the business objectives. Then we're going to kind of look at from an outside in what the market is requiring. We'll determine what our mission is. Maybe we'll spend about 2 or 3 hours wordsmithing our vision. We'll come up with some sort of team chart, or maybe we'll do a kind of 4-quadrant model on behavioral style assessments or personality style differences, play some sort of game. God forbid there's a trust fall. Maybe we'll do act that way. Maybe we'll have a juggler. I don't know, but somehow we'll throw some social fun in there. Then we'll go out for dinner and drinks, and hey, that'll be our offsite. I'm making light of this because we've all been in executive offsites that, it's a pinch of this, it's a pinch of that. And it doesn't really just gel together very well. And the truth is that every group, every team holds the promise of collective intelligence, but it's not easy, nor is it guaranteed that you'll be able to tap into it in a manner that's really, exponentially powerful. We have this diversity of team members with, incredible backgrounds, expertise, and, incredibly smart, talented people in each of these different domains. But how do we make that all gel together as collective intelligence? Well, it turns out that the truth is that the research in the arena of the science of connection shows that the number one predictor, or the greatest indicator, the one thing that seems to show that a group will tap into its collective intelligence more, is actually the interaction patterns among the team members. Thus, one of the things that we're absolutely fanatical about in the executive offsites that we design and lead is how we're going to smartly design and orchestrate and facilitate different kind of connection patterns, interaction patterns among team members.
Absolutely. And Emerald Lagasse would say it's not just the recipe that makes the difference, but it's the fresh ingredients that you put into that recipe that makes all the difference, right? And so when we think about our offsites, the recipe that we use is really, 3 key elements. One is at the individual level, each of the members of the executive team, what has to be designed and built in for their advancing their own development, their own growth and learning. Second is at the team level, how do you advance learning and growth and performance at the team level? And lastly, and importantly, is taking that collective individual and team effort and applying it to the organization, the business imperatives for the performance you need to hit those key measures and results that you're looking for. So when we're designing this offsite, we look for a balance in the offsite in the recipe. So a fair portion of it at the individual level so that they can learn. Examples of that, various different assessments that we take where there's personal insight. We look at the team composition of those different assessments and how that might influence the executive culture, what their thinking patterns and behaviors, as Leanne mentioned, in terms of their interaction patterns, what that might mean, and how that maps to the current environment and conditions that the business is facing, and whether or not that's optimal, or in what ways is it optimal, what ways is it suboptimal, and you need to make some adjustments and flex, right? And then all of this, applied to the business. So we look on interactive exercises, for example, where you can do business impact challenges, where you can harness the group of the collective to focus on very specific challenging issues that are priorities of the day for the team and collectively support individual leaders and the group working through these in successful ways. So those are examples of how we might balance, our recipe in order to have the best results possible for the offsite. And we're missing one key thing there is really that makes the big difference is those fresh ingredients.
Absolutely. So whether you are a total chef at home or you barely whip together a vinaigrette for you comes in a bottle. You know, probably when you've tasted something as simple as a vinaigrette. Okay, it's simple. It's got lemon, it's got olive oil, and it's got some salt and pepper as a base, right? There's equal proportions of each, right, to kind of hang together. But when you add in some fresh herbs, maybe some freshly ground mustard or some freshly chopped shallots, suddenly it sings and pops, and there's kind of a flavor that comes forward that was not available with the base recipe. And so, in a likewise fashion, when you think about bringing fresh ingredients to these interaction patterns, that is the essence of letting a group tap into its collective intelligence. When we look at the recipe of individual, team, and business application within an executive offsite, we're always looking at how we might design dialogue-based or inquiry-based interactive activities or experiential activities that will actually reveal the interaction patterns that exist among team members now, and then make them kind of sing or pop in a new way by helping people be at choice for how they're going to kind of recombine them in new ways. And it's fun because it's authentic and it's human, and it actually is not something that is the norm in executive offsites, which then provokes authentic, deep listening, learning, exchange, and ultimately the ability for the teams to excel together. So if you're thinking about your next executive offsite, we invite you to think about not only what your core recipe is that you want to have balance and hang together, but how might you bring some fresh perspective, fresh ingredients that allow different ways of interacting together and your team allowing it to grow and perform at higher levels.